All right, here we are. The fires are roaring, everybody. Welcome to the campfire, the Kayfabe Campfire. I am Cowboy Cliff Rogers, and for all of you out there that probably don't know who I am, I'm a pro wrestler, if you will. I actually got started in the great state of Louisiana. I'm originally from Texas, but I spent about half my life in central Louisiana and discovered the UWE, and after a little rodeoage, a little working on the ranch, decided to give my passion a try. And another guy that did that with me, actually about a year before me, also a UWE-based wrestler, originally started off as a referee, and he's actually hitting up a lot of dates and a lot of bookings in the independent wrestling scene here in the South, in Louisiana, Texas, Mississippi. Ladies and gentlemen, my first guest at this time, old running buddy of mine, friend of me, if you will, the Gatekeeper.
All right, Cowboy, thanks for having me on.
We'll talk. You know, this microphone can like pick up more than just, what's right in front of it. You don't have to do the awkward pause. Are you going for like this whole like Clint Eastwood badass thing today? What are you doing today?
Yeah, thank you, Cowboy, for having me on. Yeah, as Cowboy was talking about earlier, we do have a lot of shows going on in the Texas area. New Braunfels, I'm having a triple threat strikers match under the Alliance Championship Wrestling.
Alliance Championship Wrestling, yes. That's a pretty cool little company. I've noticed that they're pretty new, but they're starting to get a little bit of monetary gain where they can start getting some big name guys. You see, folks, for those of you that don't know, that's kind of how indie wrestling works. Is you have your wrestlers you see on TV and guys that people remember. Well, when they're not tied down to contract and can go make money elsewhere, they do. So that's what indie promoters look for, is those guys that are taking that break from TV, and they're like, dude, if I get so-and-so in the door, son, we going to get people from the next county over, boy. You ain't never seen no wrestling like this. So Alliance is starting to get where they can start getting some of those magnet names, if you will. But, the wrestling purists out there, they just want to see some good convincing characters, some good wrestling. So in that triple threat match, I see you going up against this big Native American fella.
A heavy hitter.
He is a heavy hitter. I don't have a name on him. I had a name. It kind of slipped me. We're going to look him up here in a minute. Hey, podcast research guy, get on that. Anyway, yeah, so you're going up against this big heavy-hitting striker. I actually want to talk about that because you pride yourself on doing what's called Texas Strong style.
Which is equivalent to what he does, except I don't use any technique. It's just, fist. It's like a ballroom fight. And you got the other guy that's in there, and he's based on Muay Thai. And which is going to make very interesting. He's actually got a technique going for him. And I've watched both of them. I've got on YouTube, and I've explored and looked, and it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough, and they got quite a few years on me, and I don't know. I'm excited about it. I'm in there with vets, kayfabe. You get lost, you got somebody in there that kind of guides you,
Well, that's the luxury of finding a good promotion. Like I said in the last episode, for all you fellas and ladies out there that are wanting to get into pro wrestling, and that's another thing about indies is it's its own little charm. It's wrestling, but it's its own little small show charm, and a lot of guys and gals are just content with that. Like, you don't necessarily, you can be a pro wrestler and have a fun time and make money on the side of what you already do, and not necessarily want to go to the big leagues. You can be the small town hero and do it whenever you got time, whenever you feel. There's no shame in that. No, there is shame in trying to pass yourself off as a Monday Night Raw caliber guy, know-it-all, knowing you only do like maybe 4 bookings a year. If you're going to be the 4 bookings a year guy, know your place and be the 4 bookings a year guy kind of thing. Don't show up to somebody's school and start saying your headlocks are wrong when, I've probably done slept since then and forgot what I had for breakfast since you've had a match, So, but anyway, that's the good thing for all you guys and gals wanting to get into indie wrestling. It's always good to find a program or at least a promotion. Like after you get trained and you're looking for a new promotion, to work for a promotion that has vets in it that aren't, asshole vets that aren't full of themselves and are willing to put you over, or maybe not even put you over, but at least, kind of kayfabe, get you through it here, Keep, one thing I want to talk about strong style that I really think people's going to enjoy hearing is, you hear wrestling, you hear, man, they probably walk out of there not a scratch on them, and they're just in there pillow fighting. Give us a good example of one time you were in the UWE dojo or show, your choice, of you just got your bell rung, and tell us kind of like firsthand that first wake up call in pro wrestling where the floodgates opened and the eyes watered.
Well, of course, it being pro wrestling, I've been hit, a lot in the head. The first one I would have to say is when I went up against Dapper Dan in Center, Texas. And the first hit of the match, he gave me 3. And I know what he was trying to he was just trying to piss me off and get me at that level. And he hit me 3 times, but I'm telling you, that first one rung my bell. I had a headache all day, all night. And that really it woke me up. And then I have to say, the Texas Strong Style thing. Actually, I'm gonna have to kiss your ass for a minute, cowboy.
Go ahead.
You helped me with that in the Alexandria show.
Okay, yeah.
Because
I remember that, you little ass.
Well, as the kids say today, you understood the assignment, I guess. Mm-hmm. Because you knew exactly what I was going for. I knew exactly what you were going for.
I was just kind of pissed off, to be honest with you.
That first chop said that. I know.
Yeah. So, folks, let's fill you in. Me and Keep are both indie wrestlers on the circuit. We obviously know each other, so of course you're going to lock horns eventually. Of course, some people have classier ways of issuing a challenge than others. At a show in Alexandria, Louisiana, was actually, today's Veterans Day, so it's a good day to bring this up. This is being taped on Veterans Day, and last August 27th, 2022, we did a big show called the UWE Presents and Wreaths Across America Present Wrestling for Wreaths, where we had a big veterans show, and we had a bunch of people for an indie show. It was in the upper hundreds. It was close to 1,000. Actually, yeah, it was 1,000, a little over 1,000, give or take. And for an indie show, that's big. If you have 1,000 people on the door for an indie show, you've done something. And it was for charity, and a big chunk of the proceeds bought wreaths for the veteran graves at the veteran cemetery. Is a big deal. So I come out there, and it's my first night as a babyface. For you baby wrestling fans out there that maybe not understand what that means, babyface is, the handsome ass hero. The one everybody, men want to be and women want to be with. And so I came out there to, just address the crowd, tell them thank you for coming out. And this little guy giving me that little cocky-ass grin right now, the Gatekeeper, he had a problem, and instead of being like, hey, let's fight about it, he just comes and takes my branding iron mid-promo. Who does that? But I will say the crowd popped. A lot of boos for you. I loved it. I secretly got aroused.
Not my first one. Okay. not my first one, and it won't be my last booze.
Yeah, but
I had to get your attention. I know how much you love that branding iron.
I do. Made it myself. Actually, my coach made it and gave it to me. It was a good little gift. But I tell you, that match we had that night, I hated you during, and I ended up getting the win. Just want to go. I won, and I'm gonna say it one more time for those of you who didn't hear it. I definitely got the win. Thank you. But anyways. I love that match so much. It's one of my personal favorites in my young career so far, just because it was 2 guys that know each other. And I don't mean know each other as in like, yeah, I know you, you know me. Like 2 guys that know how each other works. I knew you were heavy-handed, and me, I'm more of a true wrestler. I like to do holds, submissions, grapples, but not like the boring kind. Like I'll shoot your leg, flip you on your back, pick you up, give you a mat slam. Like kind of like a cowboy Kurt Angle, if you will. But
I swear to God.
I knew for you I was gonna, hey, it's gonna have to be a John Wayne bar fight, and that's what we did. And man, we had a chop fest in there. I'm pretty sure they heard the chop I give you at the bar 2 blocks down. And then of course there was this one moment in the match where Keep reared back, and he gave me, it was very Jerry Lawler, very Terry Funk-esque, where he just reared back, and folks, it was It was a rock, okay? He got me right in the nose, and for a minute there, I couldn't think of where I was. I look up, and my girlfriend was sitting right there in the front row. Yeah, it was a great moment for her to be there for that, right?
She enjoyed it.
Yeah, she was hammered. She don't remember it. Anyways, I look up, and I think she's going to be in front of me. Like it's like one of those disorientation. Like I'm thinking, like, okay, I'm on the left side of the ring, so she ought to be right there. I look up, and it's like some fat dude, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm on the opposite side. I'm facing the opposite end of the ring. I think I am. So like that's when I'm like, okay, we're in trouble. And what's he do? He slaps me in some kind of submission, and yeah, but all that doesn't matter because I won. So yeah, there it is. Anyway, but that was a great match, and there was a lot of strong style in that, and we got some negative criticism for that one.
Yeah, it was just one of them. It's a newer thing that you see it in Japanese wrestling all the time. It's the go back and forth with the chops over and over, over and over. You got the forearms over and over. Then finally, you'll end it with a bigger hit. They'll bounce off the ropes or, something to end it. And that's just something me and Cowboy just kind of, we seen in each other's eyes what we were fixing to do. No one was going down. Hell no. That forearm's not going to knock me down. Your forearm's not going to knock me down. So we just went ahead with it. But I have to say, them chops, you won the chop game.
Well, thank you. And well, the thing with a strong style spot like that, where you're going back and forth, is at the end of the day, wrestling's all about entertaining your people there, right?
Exactly.
And you got to put yourself in that person's seat, because as a worker, it's easy to forget about what it was like to be a fan. Yep. And you've got to put yourself in that seat and be like, okay, what's going to look good? Is it going to be boring if I see two guys just would I stay locked in? Probably not, So you got to remember, like, you got guys that are like, oh, well, I learned 4 different holds over the last month working. So in this match, I want to be like a Brian Danielson, bust out all my holds. But then you got to remember, are people really going to want to pay money to see you roll around on the mat and not hit the ropes for 20 minutes? Probably not. They're going to go to sleep, So I can get where the action got a little clunky, but the good comments far outweighed the bad, because people just like seeing the sweat fly, the teeth fly, The big bulldog finish was cool. Y'all keep hitting me with this DDT, kind of wrung me a little bit. And the door's not closed. I'm just saying, whenever you want it, this is kind of like a soft challenge, if you will. It's definitely a challenge.
You know what? I was going to bring that up because now, and as people that have seen me wrestle, they see that I wear braces. I've had a lot of problems with my legs, neuropathy, and whatnot. Well, now I'm running across the ring faster than ever. I'm in knee pads, so yeah. I'd like a rematch one day when you got time, when you're busy schedule there.
My schedule? Well, if you ever want to go do, you ever seen the movie Rocky 3?
Yeah.
You remember at the end of it where they just go in the gym and just get it on with nobody there? The Dapper Dan Dojo is always open. So
yeah, it is.
It is, if you will. So I got to stop with that. Cody Rhodes is going to hit me with a lawsuit here in a minute.
Well, Hank Hill.
Yeah, I got to stop. All right, well, look, another thing I want to hit. So, New Braunfels, Texas, triple threat match. You excited about that? What else you got happening for the rest of the year? What's your other bookings?
I'm going down to Hurricane Pro next weekend, actually.
Hey, I'm going to Hurricane Pro next weekend. Let's talk about Hurricane Pro next weekend.
You're in that Battle Royal, ain't you?
I am.
Sounds like we're going to cross paths.
Oh, yeah. Strong style for the win. What's up? Hey, I'm just saying.
I got you.
Y'all, it's just like a cowboy thing, I guess. But it's like, it's like me and Keith aren't necessarily buddy all the time. It's just like that respect thing. So when we see each other in the ring, yeah, we're going to go after each other. Not necessarily because I just hate him at the moment, but because it's like, okay, nobody else can put on as good of a fight with this guy as I can. So hopefully we're in there at the same time for their big 30-man Royal Rumble style battle royal for their new open weight championship. The promoter, Richard Cranium, I got to text him to remember what the name of that belt is if I'm going to promote it. But it's their new.
Come and get it?
No,
like
somebody else does that. But it's their new open weight. Anybody can have it. As a placeholder, we'll call it a come and get it championship. But Hurricane Pro Wrestling, like them on Facebook, that show's going on November 19th in Beaumont, Texas at Ford Park. It's a promotion I've done a little work for, Keep is refereed for. And it's going to be a lot of fun, that show. And then let's see, later on in the year, I know Haybarn Wrestling in Arkansas is having something December 3rd. I'm going to try to make that. May or may not be able to make that, but Arkansas is a fun crowd. They love cowboys. Don't know what it is, but they got them rough boys in Arkansas that like to do the death match stuff. That's something you got to watch for, man. You go to Arkansas thinking you're going to be doing body slams and cross bodies, and you're doing table slams and barbed wire wraps. So, we'll watch it. But Haybarn Wrestling, they're not a death match promotion by any means. They just got guys that like to get rough. So you're going to see some chairs. You're going to see some weapons, maybe. That'll be a cool show in December 3rd in Prescott, Arkansas. So, all right, guys. Well, look, we're going to hit you with a fine word from one of our sponsors. When we come back, Keep's going to stay over here by the campfire, and we're going to have my man, well, actually, my competitor, still a little bit salty about what happened about a month ago, but the heavyweight champion, a peer of mine, a classmate, a competitor, the Groovy King, Eddie Love. Stay locked right there. Tombstone.
Listen up, pro wrestling fans. Saturday, December 10th in Seguin, Texas. Don't miss UWE High Voltage Saturday night, featuring all of the UWE pro wrestling stars. The amazing Austin Andrews, the Dark Wolf Jake Fury, the Demigod X Storms, the Groovy King Eddie Love, the Cowboy Cliff Rogers, veterans like Dapper Dan and Prince Fontenot, and so many more. 1002 South Guadalupe Road in Seguin, Texas. Tickets available online at ticketbud.com or at GB Gaines Bakery in New Braunfels, Texas.
And we're back. Somebody go find another log, throw it on that there campfire over there. Welcome everybody to Cliff's Kayfabe Campfire episode 2. I'm joined here with the Gatekeeper, a guy that I've wrestled before, wrestled with. In fact, at one point we even tossed up the idea of tagging, and then we quickly abandoned that after we figured out we can't get along that.
Yeah, they ain't ready for that anyway.
Well, yeah, they're not. Just go ahead and give us the belts now. If we made that announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, the third member of today's Vendetta Ride. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome UWE's heavyweight champion. He's only been in the business for about a year and some change, and in that time he's worked for multiple different promotions, 2 different states, and he's already captured a heavyweight championship belt. The Groovy King, Eddie Love.
Yes, sir. Party people, what it do, what it did, what it does. You know who it is. The Heartbreaker, the Hit Maker.
Oh.
You already know. The Cake Baker. I mean, what else can I say? You know what I'm saying?
Cake.
I bake cakes as fast as you can say Bob's your uncle, Bob's your aunt. Right. How are you, Mr. Cliff Rogers and Mr. Keeper of the Gates?
Man, we good, man. We're just over here having a beverage, hanging out by the campfire. So, Eddie, first of all, like what I do with a lot of my guests, this show's about indie wrestling. Before you got into being a worker yourself, you were a big fan, not just of the big boys, but of the indies. Tell me something, as a connoisseur of indie pro wrestling, what do you look for in entertainment? What do other connoisseurs look for in people that just like wrestling? Doesn't matter who the guy is, doesn't matter where they've worked.
Well, to me, a lot of people, they look at wrestling, especially people that's in the business, they look at it as just that, like a business. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people a lot of the guys that like maybe own promotions or like, big promoters, big time promoters, they might not have that same kind of passion for the business as someone that's just been into it and just the ins and outs of it just always been, it's always just been a part of his life, you know what I'm saying, as someone like yours truly, you know what I'm saying. I lived, before I became a wrestler, I mean, I was a professional dancer, you know what I'm saying.
Oh, tell us about it.
I mean, if you really want to know, I was kind of a big deal, you know what I'm saying. I was kind of a big deal, you know what I'm saying. I've trained people from one side of the world, I should say, to the other. I mean, there's not soil that I haven't wore my dancing shoes on. You know what I'm saying? I done toured from corner to corner, state to state, country to country, whatever you want to call it. I mean, if you're looking for the moves, then look no further than the Groovy King.
Well, tell me something. So it's not uncommon for a dancer to be into wrestling because, that's one of the beautiful things of pro wrestling. It brings people together. Like Lars from Metallica was actually a big fan of indie wrestling because I seen in an old, it's from it's got to be 10 years now, but a CM Punk doc that hit back before WWE had their own network. They were putting stuff on Netflix. I remember I was I was a senior in high school when that hit. It was CM Punk's doc, and him and Lars met simply because he was a fan of music and Lars was a fan of wrestling, and heavy metal drummer. Who would have guessed it, right? So a pro dancer, that's nothing crazy to think. But what made you just kind of want to, pull out the chest hair and be like, I'm gonna do this? And first, and before you answer that, also to part B of that, was it hard being taken seriously?
Well, to be honest, to answer your first question, I was already a champion before I set foot in a wrestling ring. You know what I'm saying?
What's up?
So not to toot my own horn, but a toot.
Just go ahead and toot it.
Yeah, just a little something. But I just wanted to try something new. You know what I'm saying? And I come to find out that a lot like dancing in the wrestling world, you gotta have rhythm. You gotta have the moves. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't have the moves, 9 times out of 10. You lose, cowboy.
Well, actually, me and you started our baby training, our beginning training, our baby steps, because we went to the same tryout together. And I remember walking into that tryout. Of course, I've got a pair of gym shorts and tennis shoes on. Anybody that's a worker knows.
Oh, I had the same thing.
Yeah, anybody that's a worker knows the last thing you want to wrestle in is tennis shoes because the grip will catch that mat and good night ankles. So so we don't know what the hell we're doing. We show up in shorts and tennis shoes, and it's a basics like before you sign this contract saying you're going to pay us all this money for training, let's see if you even want to do it. So you get in and just you hit the ropes, take a little bumperoonie, and you'll see if you like it or not. And so Eddie's over here in line in front of me. I see this 6'2" or 3. What are you, 6'2"?
6'2".
6'2" of just chocolate, sitting here flexing. He's got his little leotard on. He's stretching, and I was like, "What in God's name is this?" and I'm thinking, well, he's a big body, so that's something to look out for. You always scout in the competition. That's how it was in rodeo anyway. Like you show up to a rodeo, and people's heard of some of them other people there. You start going over talking to them, kind of low key scouting your competition. So I was just playing it safe, looking. He gets in there, he glides through the ring, and he hits the ropes. He takes his bump. He's done in 5 minutes. All right, well, that was easy. Somebody hold my beer, and I'm like, okay, well, he's in. So I get.
Well, actually, the reason for the premature exit is because I actually had to go to work. You know what I'm saying? I took off. I still run my dance studios in New York and California, but you know what I'm saying? I have people that manage it for me while I'm down here because I had to relocate in order to fulfill this wrestling dream I always had. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I had to relocate to the South, to Louisiana. I've been loving it so far. You know what I'm saying? And it's good to be here. I love the food. That's probably a bad thing, but that's neither here nor there. Anyways.
You actually had a connection with one of the UWE trainers. Kind of like wrestling brings you together in ways you don't understand. Eddie moves all the way down here to train in Louisiana, and then about 6 to 8 months after that, Prince Fontenot comes in as our head strength and conditioning physique coach, and of course they know each other. We're coming in, we're like, "Evening, Mr. Prince, pleasure to meet you. What's up, cuz? Man, come over here and sit down for a minute." And they know each other, and we're like, "What's going on?" Yeah. So, how cool was that?
It really came as a shock to me. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't expecting anybody in Louisiana to know the Groovy King Eddie Love, let alone be a family member. You know what I'm saying?
Family member.
But you know what I'm saying? The chips fall as they may, and sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. You dig what I'm
Sometimes
saying?
it just runs in the DNA.
That's it. I mean, I mean, as far as I know, he comes from a bodybuilding background. He's a real, he carved out of granite stone.
Well,
So
look, hold on. As Wild West legend has it, Prince Fontenot started in the late 90s. I want to say 97 is when he started. But he does come from a bodybuilding background. If you ever Google him, literally just get on Google Images, Prince, as in the Prince, and then Fontenot, Fontenot, one of them South Louisiana names for you. Anyways, you're going to see tons of pictures of this guy. And he was all up in the bodybuilding magazines and stuff. So then he gives wrestling a shot in the late 90s, and he actually advanced and won the King of the Indies tournament. And if any of you guys know what that is, that's a big deal. It's like basically like a NFL Pro Bowl of some of the best indie wrestlers they can get their hands on. And they send you an email, ask if you want to do the show. But like if you get that email, that means hey, you're not just making waves in your town on Facebook, YouTube, doing these local shows. You're a regional name.
You
So
take that a huge compliment.
it looked like he was in Japan. He's holding like this huge trophy. There's streamers going everywhere. It's like a New Japan style setup. So Prince is a former King of the Indies, and really blessed to have him as a trainer in the UWE. However, you're not so blessed to have him as an opponent because he's a bit of a dick here lately. He's got this thing going called Royal Pain. Him and his tag partner Devontae Adams, they're the UWE tag champions, and man, he's one hell of a heel. I'll give it to him. He's quite the dick when he wants to be, but I mean he's jacked. I mean one of those guys. If you just have one of those out of body experience moments where you just kind of forget where you're at in the ring, don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
He can make you do what he's got to make you do. He can just pick you up there like an empty refrigerator box if he has to. And the guy, I mean, he's gonna really break my arm if I mention his age. But he's an older gentleman, and so it's really impressive that he can do those kind of things. Wow, is he sponsoring the episode? Let's quit talking about Prince so much. Anyways, where were we? Let's get back to Eddie. I'm gonna go fix a beverage or something. Keep. You take over. Keep.
All
Go.
right, I got you. Take it easy with the Jaeger. Anyways, Groovy, do you remember your first match in Gina at High Voltage, where you tried to make me dance?
Oh, well, I mean, if I remember correctly, you did a pretty good job, if I say so myself. I mean,
I had a big audience to entertain. I had no other choice.
I mean, when you feel the groove, I mean, it's pretty much impossible to contain anybody, at least with a heart, to not move and groove at least a little bit. You know what I'm saying? With some music, I like to chill and just hang out, and just soak it all in. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes when I feel a funky, fresh beat, there's something about that beat makes me want to move my feet.
I mean, I dig it, and I get that. I like music where I could just lay back, chill. Believe it or not, coming from Kingsland, Texas, and being the way I am, I'm a big Wu-Tang fan. Not many people know that.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What?
You didn't even know that.
No,
Clan?
No.
That one.
Yeah, wait,
not that one.
yeah. I thought it was that one, because guys, if you've ever seen Gatekeeper in the flesh, he's a he's a rough individual. I mean, I was gonna say it. He's an ugly bitch. Okay, he's got this long red goatee. But on the upside, he's like the cool kind. Like you ever watch or you ever play Red Dead Redemption? John Marston. Yeah. He gives me the John Marston vibe.
Yeah.
Like and that's his whole gimmick. You're a bounty hunter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay then.
I collect debts.
How many bounty hunters are sexy? Not many of them.
Not
If they were
many of
sexy,
them.
they would be cowboys.
That's why I chose what I chose.
No, thank you very much.
Well,
and
just
that's
didn't
why
have to call me out like that. That's all I'm saying.
We're wrestlers. It's what we do. It's like part of life. People think it's an act and we turn it on and off. No, when I get upset at my day job, I'm calling out the boss, wanting to cash in some kind of contract that doesn't exist. Does it work? No, I get escorted out. But
You're wanting to rehash that. Take this job and shove it Johnny Paychecks on.
Oh yeah.
We all fantasize about that.
That's an American anthem. Well, look, I heard you mention Eddie's first match. It was also the night of my first match, and it was also The second night, third, well, okay, so folks, what a lot of schools do is they do what's called an exhibition night or a student show or a grad show. And what that is it's an exhibition because it does not count. It's not a sanctioned real show. It is basically a showcase of what the students have learned. And they're not even in gimmick. They're like in shorts and tennis shoes. Well, not tennis shoes, obviously, wrestling shoes, but it's more so for like friends and family, like, come see what I learned, that kind of thing. So I guess if you want to count the exhibition, that was your first ever taste of being a ref. Your first real reffing experience came at UWE's first ever show, the first independent wrestling show in Louisiana, in central Louisiana, in a long time.
Yeah.
First Louisiana show ever really in a long time, if you don't count Wildcat Pro. I talked about Wildcat in my last show. They're very exclusive. Great promotion, but they're unless you pay money to go to their school, you're not getting on their card. So first indie show that wasn't Wildcat that did really well. Or Bayou Independent, they're out there too. So Mayhem at the Gym, you reffed that, and then so when we get to High Voltage Saturday Night, that was September 11th, 2021. Your second time ever being involved in a real wrestling show with a lot of fans that weren't just like Mama or Grandpa coming out to watch what we learned in class. And it was Eddie's first taste ever being in the ring. You were in there with a luchador. The guy was fast, the guy was quick, and he had been around not much longer than you. What were your thoughts going in your first time ever?
Well, to be honest, I had butterflies. I mean, even the Groovy King, he gets butterflies every now and then. Just being in a whole different environment than a dance studio, you know what I'm saying? And, like, I got to give it to him, the Barker Bazaar, Rick Wiley, my first match, like you said. He was a great competitor, still is a great competitor. I mean, he's making all kind of noise all over the indie scenes as well. I know he went to, I know yearly they have the gathering of the Juggalos, and this year they had a wrestling show. I think every year they may have a wrestling show. Yeah. He took part there, and I mean he's been making his waves, and I've thanked him plenty times since then for giving me the opportunity, showing me a good time in that ring, you know what I'm saying? And ever since then, I've been looking up and just climbing the ladder, and it feels good to be at the top. But, when you come from where I come from, you never forget where you started.
So tell us, how did it feel getting that first pop from the audience?
I can't lie to you. When I first came out that curtain, it feel like, because, I mean, like I said, I'm a lifelong fan. So I've been doing it in my head since I was a baby.
Right.
You might as well, you
All
know what I'm
of
saying?
us, yeah.
And when I first came out that curtain for the first time, the first thing I did, I took a knee, and my exact words to the good Lord was, "You took me this far. Please take me higher." And that's exactly what I said.
And you did.
And ever since then, I've been higher and higher and super high, super duper high. You know what I'm saying? And it's been a ride ever since.
In more
then.
ways than one, folks.
It's been a
You
ride
should go
ever
hang out
since.
with him before the match.
Yeah. I mean, we are sponsored by Cantaloupe.
Yeah. Cantaloupe Hip Company, proud sponsor of United Wrestling Entertainment. What's
Keep
up?
them in business.
Yeah, the gummies. Go check out the gummy selection.
Man. We'll send you to space.
Space gummies. Anyway, so
Tombstone.
one thing, and I gotta jack with you here. You're what people call a super baby face. You're a super face because it's just like you're tailor made to be the hero. You wear tie dye. You dance like Michael Jackson. You got a bit of a Jimi Hendrix vibe going on here. Your moves are powerful because you're a big dude. You're 6'2", 260 something, and what? Did I get it wrong?
Wait a minute. 260.
Well, you look beefy.
I mean, I may look beefy on the outside, cowboy, but I'm a good 230. You know what I'm saying? I might have started at 260, but the Groovy King has conditioned and trained and worked his tail off. I'm a solid, very handsome 230 pounds. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Oh, my bad. But you know, big man that can do big moves, but you also are very agile. You're very light on your feet because of the dancing. So that being said, when he debuted, everyone in the back's thinking, oh, they're going to pop loud, they're going to love him. We got to remember we were in Gina, Louisiana. Keep, you want to tell people what it's like in Gina, Louisiana?
I can tell you what it's like. You ever watch Squidbillies?
Yeah. So naturally, because of just too much tie-dye and not knowing his audience, and not even his fault, they thought he was a Pride character. And he was getting a good 50-50 reaction at first. Now, he won him over with his moves. But he didn't win the match, but he won him over with his moves. But, man, I was telling you, like, whoa, that's just, it shows you the beautiful thing we'll say about indie wrestling is the fans don't know who you are, and they know they don't know who you are, so you've got to earn it. Like, you have got to earn it. You've got to show them why they should give a crap about you. Yeah. And Eddie did that night. I want to say I did all right. That was my first match against a luchador that's been in the game about 35 years, and it was American Ranger.
Biggest luchador I've ever seen.
Yeah, okay.
Roughest, probably.
I only say he's a luchador because he wears a mask. He does not do the flips and the flying. He is a brawler.
No,
and
you do the flips.
I mean, yeah. He flips your ass over is what he does.
I tell you what, though, going back to what you said, you know, when I first came out, of course, they're going to Gina, Louisiana, deep south, you know what I'm saying? They're going to see all the loud colors, and they're going to think this, that, and the other about the Groovy King Eddie Love. The Groovy King Eddie Love embraces all. He loves all. The pride community, LGBTQ, all of that. I mean, gay, straight, whatever you want to be. I mean, the Groovy King loves all. The good Lord made us all in his image. So who are we to judge the next? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
The groovy lifestyle is a lifestyle that the world needs. You know what I'm saying? Not just me, not just a few of my fans, but the whole world. You know what I'm saying? Because there's only one correct way to be, and that's groovy. If you feel me knocking, please let me in.
Well, you know, you really can't be a racist person and succeed in this business. You really can't, because in the short time us three gentlemen have been in, let's just do a quick head count. I mean, and for all you people that are thinking about getting in the business, this is just how fast it can happen for you. I've been in about a year and some change. I'm going to go from the time I started my first show, which was in September. So it's been a year and almost a month. And that time I've worked 4 or 5 different promotions in 3 different states: Louisiana, Texas, and Arkansas. And that time I have fought Latino men. I have fought plenty of white men, black men. Hell, I was even in there with a woman one time. I was doing a battle royal in Arkansas for Hay Barn Wrestling. Well, actually, at the time, it was Hope Championship Wrestling. And me and Demigod, X-Storms, we were both put in this battle royal. And there was this big-ass woman. I mean, no offense to her, but she was a big bitch. And she's in there throwing people over the top rope. Her name is Mississippi Queen. Y'all look her up. Mississippi Queen, based out of Arkansas. And she was getting it on. So basically, you're going to meet all different backgrounds. I've even worked homosexual men before, and I didn't know they were homosexual at the time. But then, like, I learned later, like, yeah, hey, you didn't know that guy's gay? And I'm like, you know, like
we
so.
don't pay attention to stuff like that.
People have that thought in their head that they're instantly just going to go grabbing on you, Johnson. But, like, you know, then I figured out later he was homosexual, and that didn't matter to me at all. And then the guy later came to me and was like, hey, are we going to not be friends? I'm like, I don't give a damn. I mean, we done did a wrestling match together and made money together. I don't care what you are.
It shouldn't matter.
I don't care if you're into squirrels. Now, that's a little weird, but, you know, I don't care.
Questionable.
Questionable,
But
to
I
say
ain't
the
gonna
least.
judge you.
All right, Groove, let's move on. So you started in September. After you started, did you stay being as big a fan as you always were, or did it start becoming more of a you know, almost like dancing? Like was it becoming more of a sport obligation job and less of a relaxation thing?
Well, to answer your question, once a fan, always a fan. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
I'm
of
a
course.
fan. I'm a fan number one. Because if I wasn't a fan to begin with, we wouldn't be talking right now.
Oh, true.
I'm still a fan at the end of the day. I'm probably wrestling's one of the number ones, one of the many number one fans, as a lot of people like to say. But you know what I'm saying. I'm gonna always be a fan first, no matter how long I've done it. I'm always over excitable about things like that. Just training, just being in the training ring and watching guys. You know what I'm saying. Just practicing, having just little practice matches. I'm still very excitable on the sideline. Everybody else there, you know what I'm saying? I'm paying attention. I'm paying attention to every little thing about it. That's another thing. It's like I'm very, 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 very observant of every move, hold, even the setup to the move, everything, the movement, everything. I mean, I pay attention to so much. It's probably an obsession. I don't think it's a bad thing, but that's not here nor there. But yeah, I mean, I'm always gonna be a fan. I don't care how long I've done it. Even when I'm dead and gone in my grave, I'm still gonna be a fan of the game. If you can feel me.
Well, yeah, I mean, I understand that, but like with me personally, I don't really watch wrestling as much as I used to. I watch the pay-per-views, and like on my phone, I have these notifications set, like with feed prices, like stock and things like that for livestock auction, things like see what that's going on. Well, tied in with that, I have my sports. I got to see what's going on with the Louisiana Saints. I'm a Saints fan. Got to see what's going on with the Bucks. Yes, I'm a Buccaneers guy. Tom Brady is the football god, just like JBL is the wrestling god. I'm sorry. Hate me if you want. I guess I just turned heel. But
someone's going to turn the podcast off right when
yeah. Josh Allen for president. Go Bills.
Go. Okay. Well, hey, actually, that brings up something I want to mention later on in the show. But anyway, so I have my sports update, my stock updates, and market prices and all that. Well, tied in with that, I'll have my wrestling stuff just so I can see what's going on. So when I do watch the pay-per-view, I'm not in the dark. But as far as DVR and Raw goes, like every night or every week, and hitting that DVR record, I'm one of those people, like, I don't want to lose what I love. And I know the first thing, the number one mistake when doing something you love is burning out. Yeah, so, when I train, and when I learn, and then that's my wrestling fix. And then when I watch pay-per-views, it's literally just to be like, oh, you mean that little fruit from YouTube, Logan Paul's having a match? Well, God, I got to see this. But as far as like, man, I want to watch wrestling to see some drop toe holds, it's like, no, because I've been doing drop toe holds all damn week, and I'm sick of wrestling. I want to, I want to watch a Western, Yeah, I mean, exactly. Shit.
I do enjoy Tombstone myself. The movie.
Hey, that's such a good one. That's such a damn good one.
And if you like Tombstone, check out my entrance I have planned for the ACW show. Just throwing that out there.
And ACW, are they on YouTube? Do we know that?
I think.
Yeah, I believe they are. Well, a good way to see the matches from the ACW show coming up in November 19th from Alliance Championship Wrestling is like my man Gatekeeper on Facebook, because he's actually going to have his match, the triple threat, put on there with a link. And I'm sure as soon as you do that, you'll be able to tell people where they can find the full show, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, you're talking about, I get asked a lot because it's just like Groovy was talking about. You're always a fan. You're always going to be a fan. And that was one good thing about being a referee. You had the best seat in the house.
Right.
Now, it was a little bit stressful because you had all kinds of responsibilities there going on. But it's just like, there's a picture, if you go on my Facebook, and it is the Groovy King getting this powerbomb, like, I don't know what you call it. Rey Mysterio does it a lot. And it was one of those moves that I watched.
I remember that, yeah.
And, man, I knew what they were going for. So I'm sitting in their corner, and I'm going, in my head, I'm going, nail it. And they did. Perfection. And you could see me a little bit just jumping up and down a little bit. You can see a mark on my face. I'm just kidding. But you can see the marking coming off my face because I was so happy that they nailed it. The crowd popped. It was just a great moment.
Well, I'll tell you what was great about that was somebody forgot to go over there and count as soon as he covered him, because again, as a young referee, that's new to it, as you got to remember, you still got a job to do.
You still got a job.
And as a fan, it's just like,
that
damn, that was
That
sexy.
little fan,
Like,
it just froze for a moment. We're just like, damn, they nailed it. It looked great. The crowd pops, you know. But yeah, I do. And I did that. That's not the first time I've done that. There was a lot of times where I was like, I needed to go for a count, needed to check on a submission, something like that, and I just kind of get caught in the moment.
yeah, we actually have a damn good referee with the UWE now. Not like that shit we had before with Gatekeeper. We have a guy named James Beard.
Legendary James Beard.
Groove, you want to tell us a little bit about Jameson Beard?
I tell you what, Mr. James Beard, I don't know his marital status or anything like that, but if he wasn't, I would sing and dance at his wedding. That man has done wonders for my career, same as Dap, my coach. I mean, everybody that's been a part of UWE, all the main, you know what I'm saying, the corporation side of it. I mean, they took me when I was a nobody. You know what I'm saying? It was my first day in. James Beard, Miss D, Dap, to Randy J, to Ty, our sound guy. I mean, they all welcome me with open arms.
Yeah, even the sound guy gets a shout out.
I mean, you know, the Groovy King, he always gives his props where it's due, and I mean, they all embrace me with open arms, and
You
I
can't
embrace
get a pop
them.
without music, right?
That's right. I mean, and I mean, Mr. James. I mean, I don't think everybody realizes it. We are very fortunate to have him in our lives. You know what I'm saying? That man can get us anywhere. I mean, he's legendary. There's not a wrestling Hall of Fame that he isn't in. You know.
Well, you see, so for you hardcore wrestling fans that like WWF, like old school stuff, you'll see him all over that. In the 90s, he was all in WWF. He did the territory system before that, Jim Crockett Promotion, all that good stuff. He's worked Japan. He is a wrestler's celebrity because, you know, a lot of there's only like a handful of referees that the average fan can remember or name out. Scott Armstrong being one of them, Earl Hebner because he was in the Screwjob.
Charles Robertson,
Charles,
because he's so charismatic with his.
Charles
Robertson,
Mike
Chioda,
Kiki, what's
Yeah.
up, baby? Shane Sewell because he was also a worker, and he actually did a match with Booker, which was good. And then there's James Beard. You got to have James, but James is more of like that, Hogan era, and also like that sequin cop hat, round glasses, Shawn Michaels era. Like when Shawn Michaels was
Early
more
90s.
when Michaels was more of a stripper than anything.
Before Raw's War.
Yeah.
The golden era.
And then after that, you know, I mean, a lot of big Impact, you know, he's what you call a freelancer these days because he's done it all, he's seen it all, and he has Vince McMahon's phone number in his phone right now. That's power, you know. So the fact that he wants to come fool around with a bunch of nobodies in Central Louisiana means a lot. And, you know, a little personal story, and it's kind of cool because JBL tells a lot of personal stories he has with James Beard. Now, me and him have that in common, right? And we're both Western-style characters. But my personal favorite James Beard night probably had to be this past September, and it was September 17th, 2022. And I remember it very distinctly because in my young career it was the first of many, I'm going to go ahead and say it now, first of many championship matches in my career. I've held a title before. I was a tag team champion. In fact, Keep, you were my manager for that. You remember that, dude?
Yeah, I do, but this is kind of awkward.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I really have to point out the elephant in the room? Because you remember, we cheated Groovy.
Oh, that's right. We did do that.
We did.
Yeah.
I
Hey, that was a different time. That was a different time.
I think I may still have a knot on my head from where a stirrup hit me. Not
Hey,
gonna mention any names, but
You should know better than anybody. This shit ain't ballet. I mean,
you're right. You're right.
but to be fair, that was in a time where I was, you know, trying to win at any cost necessary it's true what they tell you guys. You do good, good comes to you. If you have to load your elbow pad to win, you don't have no business winning.
And a loaded elbow pad. I almost forgot that.
Hey, I was trying to justify my actions, but you calm down.
Sorry.
Anyways, so my first singles championship match was last September at Gina, Louisiana. I was facing Groove over here for the belt, and James was reffing our match. And, of course, Groove retained his belt. We'll get into that later. But I'll be the bigger man. I'll say that was a great match. And folks, we don't have cameras here, so you're just going to have to take my word for it. But it's happening. Keep as a third-party witness. We're shaking hands. That was a good match, dude.
Thank you, sir.
Brother,
Thank you.
brother, you were bringing the fire that night. I watched the tape back sometime just to study what went wrong. And, I mean, the suplexes you give. Guys, as a 230-pound man, he can give you a suplex, and then as you get up to your feet and sail to the corner, he's already on his feet, jumping up and down, shaking that ass, and then he's coming at you with a big flying crossbody. He's quick, guy. He's quick. It's a close match, but I remember at the end of that match, James Beard, you know, he's that guy. You come to him at the end of the match, and you're like, James, how was it? And if it sucked, it'll be like, it sucked.
You'll know.
Or he just won't say shit to you.
Yeah.
And if it was good, he'll be like, it was all right. But if it was great, if it was like good, he'll tell you. So in the match, as I'm getting out of the ring, defeated, I'm going to grab my damn branding iron, and he slaps me right, just very gently like a football, like a good game, a little gentle left ass cheek slap. And then I turn around and look, and he winks at me a little bit. Okay, well, he didn't wink. That'd have been weird. But like he smiled, and he was just like, and he just kind of gave me like that. He just gave me like that nod. Just he nodded at me, and he was like, "You finally get it." And then when I get to the back, I'm like, "Talk to me, James." And he goes, "That was by far the best thing you've ever done." And I was like, "Really?" I said, "Because there was a few other things I wish I could have done. Hell, I probably could have won." He goes, "Dude, that was money." So he's honest, and you know. He's one of those guys, you take time out of your busy day on show day when you're that's another thing on the indies. Show day is crazy because we are the crew. So we're setting up everything, cameras, audio board, freaking ring, everything. But you always stop what you're doing. And you're like, Mr. James, good to see you. How was your drive in? You doing all right? How's the weather over there in Texas? Hey, it's good to see you. And then you quit kissing his ass and you leave him alone because he does not have to be here. Is one of those things. At all. Groove, what was your thoughts on that match? Yeah, I know. Go ahead and rub it in some more. But, dude, I just got to say, you don't often hear me talking about a match I lost and saying how good it was, but that was one of my personal favorites.
I ain't going to lie to you, Cowboy. That probably was my best match since I've been in the UWE. Now, that's not throwing shade or salt to the Dark Wolf, Jake Fury, who I can't seem to get away from.
Y'all had quite the series.
We have quite the series. I don't quite think it's over just yet, but we have quite the series. We didn't win 3 times, one in Marshall where he beat me for the vacant UWE Heavyweight Championship. Then I won it from him in Center, Texas.
And
then we fought again. We fought again once more at Wrestling for Reeds. So I just can't shake this guy.
I wasn't gonna say nothing, but he brought up the center show. If anyone watched that match, I was a little bit partial to Jake Fury at the time because that's who was tag team champions with Cowboy. We had a thing going, and I went in there thinking I could get one over on Groovy, but I tell you what, even with me working with Jake Fury, there was no quitting Groovy. There wasn't no stopping him.
You know, one thing I want to point out there about Jake Fury is he's one of those guys that really fought from the bottom of the barrel. Now he's one of those. He's coming from a rancher's background. He's a mule. He's stubborn. You gotta hit him in the. You know, he's like a show calf. You gotta tap his knees with a stick to make him go in line. So because he's a backyarder at heart, he's actually from New York, and that's where they would do the backyard wrestling at the city park thing, like on the playground surface. And so that was when he was 17. He didn't get formally, professionally trained until he was like 35. So now as a 35-year-old man, hey, he's in shape. He can kick ass. And I'll go on record right now saying he could work a televised match, not a main event, not for an Intercontinental Championship or nothing, but he could work a televised match for WWE right now. Right now. He could be one of those, if you needed a guy to come in and get squashed by Braun Strowman, he's got the look for TV. If you need somebody last minute on NXT, well, go ahead and debut him. He's the guy.
Exactly.
But he comes from that line of, well, I've been a wrestler since I was 17. And you have to remember, folks, there's indie style, there's backyard style, there's TV style, there's Southern boy style, there's Oriental style. There's so many different styles of wrestling. And the backyard style is on the bottom of the totem pole. It's basically an ugly inbred cousin of indie style.
I got one of those.
Yeah, you know, in indie style, people want to see fast-paced crap. You know, a lot of time people want to see a lot of false finishes. So, like, you jump off the rope, you go for this big drop kick. I get out of the way. I'm gonna boot you in the face. You're gonna get right back up. I'm gonna kick you in the gut, give you a pile driver. You kick out of that. Who in the hell can kick out of that? I don't know.
I know, right?
But that's what people want to see in indie style. Backyard style, it's kind of more like that, but like it's like we don't have a ring, so let's compensate. Does your dad still work at the lumber yard? You'll get some of that barbed wire. Let's do it on the barbed wire, you know. So that's something to look for. But as far as Jake Fury goes, he's crawled out of that pit of ignorance.
Yeah.
Like I've said before, there's nothing wrong with being a backyard wrestler. There's a lot wrong with being a delusional backyard wrestler. And Fury has finally crawled out of that pit of ignorance. He was the first heavyweight champion in UWE, and I want to say something that's going to mean something to a lot of old school territory fans. The original UWE belt was actually an old belt from the territory days, and that was the Red River Heavyweight Championship for, I believe, was it Mid-South? Or it was...
I think,
yeah,
I want to say
it was one of the promotions that was aligned with Mid-South Pro Wrestling. So it was technically a Mid-South championship, and it was called the Red River Brass Knuckles Championship, and it was a white strap, gold plates. They don't make them like that no more. And, of course, the founder of UWE, territory star Dapper Dan, was the last man to ever hold that championship. He beat WWE Hall of Famer Robert Gibson. Robert Gibson. Rock and Roll Express, they were a tag team. But he beat Robert Gibson for that. And then the promotion shut down. That's about the time Vince took over and swallowed everything up. But he kept the belt. He just kept it in his truck. And he's like, well, they never called me asking for it back, so I just, kept it. So when he started this promotion, that was the placeholder. That was the first belt we used as our UWE belt before we had a custom one made. What was it like wrestling for a championship belt that WWE Hall of Famer Rob Gibson, that territory legend Dapper Dan, that people like Tony Atlas have competed for, people like the Great Manu have competed for, people like Hacksaw Jim Duggan have competed for?
I actually didn't know that. I'm glad you told me all that.
Oh, well, the more you know. Yeah.
I mean, I had no idea. I just thought he got a belt made. I mean, now that you mention it, I feel like and that was the heavyweight belt?
Yeah, the UWE Heavyweight Championship, the belt that you're over here stroking like a small child, that belt. The placeholder, remember when you first competed for that against Fury, it was a white strap with different plates. That was the Mid-South Red River Brass Knuckles Championship. It was affiliated with Mid-South. It wasn't actually Mid-South, it was affiliated with Mid-South. But guys like Hacksaw wrestled for that belt, dude.
Damn. I mean, damn. I didn't know that at first. I mean, if right now, finding out, it feels damn good. I'll tell you what, to be in the same conversation holding a belt as those men you just mentioned, those legends you just mentioned. I mean, it's just another blessing. I mean, since I've started with the UWE, I've had blessing after blessing, and it's just they keep rolling in, I guess.
Well, so that was the placeholder belt, and then y'all actually went on to do a series. Fury, that was our first time branching out, going to Texas. By the way, the independent wrestling scene in Texas is just bar none. Speak on that.
Yeah, like Texas, it's always like if you go back, you're talking about that championship cowboy. If you go back, Texas, I'm just going to go ahead and say it was pretty much a base for professional wrestling. You mentioned wrestling, and pretty much Texas was going to be in that subject, and a whole lot of it. And most of, accidentally, really, coincidentally, most of my favorite wrestlers came from Texas. You had Stone Cold Steve Austin, Dusty, Funk. And the Groovy, he is over here smiling. He is so happy that he found. Just the more you know.
I'm still thinking about that. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'm in the conversation with greatness, and I mean.
All right, now, Hoss. It was just a piece of leather with gold on it. Now you wasn't invited at the Legends breakfast at the Cauliflower Alley Club.
But I feel like I was busting the tables, though. You know what I mean?
By the way, Cauliflower Alley Club. That's something all you wrestling fans need to know about. That's something that wrestling fans, wrestlers, referees, legends. It's basically a club anybody can join. It's like a fraternity. You pay dues, and I love the message here. It's almost and again it's Veterans Day so it's kind of like a Veterans VF hospital thing for wrestlers. When you fall on hard times, when you get injured, when you lose your job, when your house burns down, when the IRS comes collecting your stuff, it's like a fund that'll get you back on your feet. And they have these big events. And so if you've never joined the Cauliflower Alley Club or heard of it, look it up. James Beard is one of the key speakers at it all the time. JBL's in it. Farouk, Ron Simmons, he's in it. A lot of Hall of Famers are in that. So, yeah, relax. You're not at the Legends brunch at the Cauliflower Alley Club yet.
I do like cauliflower.
Hello. That actually comes from the cauliflower ear, a very common wrestling side effect. More so in the collegiate world, but you see some pros out there with the cauliflower ear. It's hideous. Don't ever do it to yourself intentionally. There's marks out there that try to give themselves cauliflower ear. Hey, bro, just punch me in the ear, man. I want to look like Randy Couture.
That does not look like it feels nice. It looks like it would hurt to the touch, and it's like ugly.
Yeah. Wow. Well, anyways, so UWE started branching out into Texas when Groovy won that, or when Groovy competed for that belt. He actually won a tournament that I was featured in, and went on to face Jake Fury for the title. And after that, y'all got a rematch when Fury won the belt. Fury held on to that belt for like a year, and but we mainly just did I think we did 2 shows within the time he won it. Simply because that's another problem with indies that, love them or hate them. Again, we're the small leagues, so we have to go around football season. We have to go around T-ball tournaments. We have to go around hunting season. We have to go around holiday season. So he won it at an awkward time where there was Black Friday shopping going on, there was T-ball tournaments, travel ball, and it was just, you weren't going to make anything running a show. So he really only had 1 defense. And then Groovy took it off of him in Center, Texas. So it seems like that belt's always changed hand in Center. I also want to point out that night was my first time facing Prince Fontenot, the guy I talked about earlier. And, man, me and him tore it up. But I remember that night, Groove, when you won that belt. And, as a competitor, me and you have that mutual respect. Do I want to beat you? Do I have fantasies of pinning you? Yes. Do I have fantasies of knocking you out? Yes. But at the end, shut your mouth. But at the end of the day, I respect you as a competitor. You've never done anything harsh, never done anything dirty to win, and so I saw you collapse in the ring after you won, and I could see you talking, and you were on all fours. Your face was on the ground. And just tell me what was going through your mind when you finally did it. The dance coach from California, the big guy that teaches people how to dance, and now here you are. You just beat a 6'2" every last bit of 230-pound, 225-pound New York street brawler Jake Fury in Texas in a pretty packed house in Center, Texas. What was going through your head?
To be honest, man, it was a lot. You know what I'm saying? Growing up, like my family, my parents, they weren't into the whole wrestling thing. You know, to them it was fake. It was acting. But to me, it was more than that. It was a lifestyle. You know what I'm saying? It was something I couldn't leave alone. It was something I couldn't stop thinking about, even after I grew up, 18, 19-year-old, 20 plus. You know what I'm saying? I'm 29 now, but into my teen year, early adulthood years. You know what I'm saying? It's just something that was always in the back of my mind, no matter what I did, no matter how many hours I spent in a dance studio. You know what I'm saying? It was always there and always bothered me. And if I couldn't live, I wouldn't have been able to live with myself knowing that I couldn't at least try to wrestle. You know what I'm saying? If I tried it and I failed, well, that was fine for me. You know what I'm saying? At least I tried it. Yeah. But to say that I couldn't try, I couldn't at least try. You know, it bothered me. And that night in Center, Texas, when I won that belt, and I actually held it, and I looked at it, and it's just years. It was just years of just. I don't even know what to call it. I don't know what to call it. I'm going to quote Kevin Gates. I didn't know what to call it, because it's like it all came to a head that night in Center, Texas, in front of those people. And it's like, I'll never forget that. No matter how old I get, it'll never go away. I think about it all the time. And since I've had the belt, I mean, it still feels like it's unreal, because coming from where I'm from, you don't get those opportunities. You don't. I mean, the California scene, it's not that big of a wrestling scene. More lucha libre, if anything. And you know what I'm saying. That's not my cup of tea.
Here about Mexico.
Yeah, that's not my cup of tea. The Groovy King, he's a wrestler. He's a dancer. He's a rhythmatic god in that ring. And you know what I'm saying. It's just it wasn't really that many opportunities, and to find this little place in southern central Louisiana, and like I said earlier, to find this organization, this federation, and embrace me how they have, and trust me with holding the most prestigious belt in the company. I mean, it says a lot about those people.
Actually, in pro wrestling as a whole in Louisiana, it's one of the most prestigious belts, because it's one of the only belts. You've got Bayou Independent with their title. You've got Wildcat Pro, and like I've said, they're exclusive, but they're around, and they have a heavy belt to hold, held by greats like Ryan Davison. If you're an Indy fan, you know who Ryan Davison is. Edge Stone, me and you've both shared a locker room with Edge Stone. We can both speak on how impressive that guy is. So those are two heavy belts. Right there, number 3 is UWE belt, because it's been held, you know, because it's basically a reincarnation of that brass knuckles title. So it's been held by guys like Dapper Dan, American Ranger at one point, back in the territory day before it shut down. Jake Fury, who I've already spoke on, is a great, and you're only the second champion, and what we hope is going to be a long line of champions. Real quick, I want to talk on, man, your first 2 defenses, you were playing Russian roulette. You didn't know who you were going to be fighting until you walked out there and their music hit. And even then you don't know who, because in the Indies, guess what? Copyright isn't always that anal of a thing with promoters. So, like, you could come out to freaking Toby Keith, you know, and because you're not on TV. Yeah. So just like it's not like WWE where their music hits and you're like, oh my God. It's like, oh, I really like that song. I wonder who's coming out to this. You know, so there's times you didn't know who you were wrestling until you saw their face out of the curtain. Your first title defense was against a guy that has worked with WWE, making multiple television and NXT appearances. Not as a featured guy, but he's definitely in the Performance Center. He's getting looked at hard. His name is Frankie Thomas. Like Frankie Thomas on Facebook, support Frankie Thomas. I personally don't have anything for him because he's an Alabama fan, but the man knows how to work. The man knows how to work. Frankie Thomas is a guy that has gone toe-to-toe with men in the WWE. He has been in this business for over a decade. What was that like? Wrestling Frank, and it was in a bar. What's up?
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. That was probably the best. That was my favorite. That was probably my favorite match. That crowd. I mean, that was my first time wrestling in a brewery. It wasn't a bar.
Well, it was all half drunk.
It was a
It was a fun
brewery.
show.
It was a fancy bar.
It was a
A
fun show.
brewery.
Yes.
I'm not that big of a fan of IPAs and stuff like that, but I mean,
You were
the
that
crowd,
night.
that night the crowd was it was a great crowd. I mean, they were live, they were loving it. I mean, they were hanging off the rafters in there. I mean, they were just all over the place, getting in where they fitting in. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, Frankie, he taught me a lot just in that maybe hour and a half that I knew him. You know what I'm saying? We didn't talk about much. I mean, but seeing him coming out that curtain, I tell you what, that I knew it was on, and I knew I had my work cut out for me because, like you said, he's former WWE talent. He done been all over the indies. You know what I'm
Actually,
saying?
not former. He's still there.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't been around the block.
You
a few
can
times.
see him sometimes as like security guard number 3.
Yeah, I mean,
or EMT number 1.
right. So I mean, it was new territory for me. I mean, it was probably just another day on the job for him wrestling with a newbie.
Of
I mean,
course.
hopefully, I thought the match was a great match. You know what I'm saying?
I enjoyed it.
He taught me a lot. And
I was about half drunk by the time you wrestled. But
yeah, I mean,
I
it was a
enjoyed
good match. I mean, it was a new experience, and I think I held my own, and I came out with the W and hit my dance move afterwards. Still UWE champion, and the rest is history.
Now, the next night, you hit a double whammy. Well, actually, we all did. UWE was contacted by a veteran wrestling star. He wasn't on the card that night, but he was putting the show together. Jeremy the Cowboy Young. I'm also a cowboy, so me and Jeremy have actually gotten to know each other once. I chose the gimmick because it's who I am. You know, I rodeoed a little in high school. I'm from Texas. I mean, that's me. Never really figured out what Jeremy's cowboy roots are, but the guy, I mean, JY has been in the game about 11, 12 years now. He's wrestled in Jamaica. He's wrestled in Costa Rica. He's wrestled guys like Carlito and Primo Colon in their home federation, mind you, for the heavyweight title. So, like, he's been around.
No spring chicken.
Yeah, he's been around the
Exactly.
block a couple times, and he's also worked for WWE back before, like pre-NXT, when they would just, back then, if you were a new guy wanting to come in, they'd just throw you on Raw, you know. So, anyways, JY put this show together at Great Raft Brewery in Shreveport. If you're ever in the Louisiana area, you want a good beer, go check out Great Raft. Great people, great hospitality.
Yeah.
So his son-in-law was actually the owner or manager of the bar, and they wanted to do a wrestling show to promote their new beer. So he calls Dapper Dan to borrow the crew, basically. So it wasn't UWE, but it was. And I actually got to sit down and get some pointers from JY. Me and my old tag partner Jake Fury, the guy that you beat for the title, he was actually my co-tag team champion at the time. And needless to say, that was a train wreck from the start. We didn't last long as a team. But we had the honor of performing in front of a drunk crowd at a brewery. And, guys, that is something you won't get with bigger wrestling. That's why indie wrestling has such a great charm. You can go drink beer and watch the show, and it's a class act. I mean, you had WWE talent, Frankie Thomas in there. And what are you going to pay? Like, what,
Yeah.
$10, $15? What's a WWE show cost? $65, $80?
Way too damn
And that's
much.
in the cheap seats. So, like, anyway, that's one of my personal favorites. I actually fought the American Ranger and another luchador that night. And they were called the Brew Crew. We actually had a good time with that. But the next night, we all had a big turnaround. We went straight to Columbia. We did another show. As the thing as an indie wrestler, you basically live in the car. And we went to another show, and you wrestled Niles Plunkett. And Niles, well, I guess that's how you say it. I say Plonky, but because that's how it's spelled. But anyways, Mr. Plunkett, if you will, the connoisseur, a wine owner. Anyways, he's a star up there in Missouri. Check him out on Facebook. He's actually, I think he holds 4 different titles for 4 different people right now. and you wrestled Niles. What was it like wrestling a guy that also makes wine on the side? Was there was he dainty? Was he delicate?
Well, I tell you what, he was not. He didn't pull any punches. I'll say that much. I mean, and coming from a guy who likes his little taste.
It looks like he likes guys.
Coming from a guy who likes his little taste, his little mutati, as Father Groovy would say. He came with it. I mean, he came walking to the ring with a glass of wine, his own wine, I should add. He actually owns a vineyard, I guess you would call it, a wine company. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, another veteran in the ring. You know what I'm saying? Learned a lot from him once again. Had a great match once again, and I mean, I had my work cut out for me once again, and I mean. Love prevails once again, picking up the dub 2 nights in a row. Two veterans in the game, you know what I'm saying? And I'm just loving it so far. I mean, like I said, I've been on a rocket ship, and I'm still full. You know what I'm saying? On gas. You know what I'm saying? And I've just been going up ever since. And I mean, I don't see an end coming anytime soon.
I have a question. You know, you faced everybody. You know, Frankie Thomas not. Somebody that you haven't faced yet in UWE, who would like to face? Besides, I know you and X hasn't, y'all haven't faced each other yet, but who else after him?
A little backstory on that. The night I faced Eddie for the championship was the night that Xavier won a battle royal to become the number 1 contender for the UWE Heavyweight Championship. And I want to say, this isn't just like a random, like you people listening probably thinking, oh, y'all are just talking about y'all's own little group. Y'all think y'all are so cool. No, this actually carries national weight here, because Xavier Storm's soaking ass wet weighs about 171. And he is a cruiserweight, and he has somehow squirreled his way into the heavyweight division. In their infinite wisdom over there at the freaking state board office, they probably decided that was okay. But anyway, that's huge. So, and he's only 20 years old. We've done the facts. You can Google it yourself. He is by far the youngest man to ever hold a championship. He was the light heavyweight champion in Louisiana. If he does this, he's going to be the youngest heavyweight champion in the history of Louisiana pro wrestling. And like I've said before, it might have been dead for a while and we're bringing it back. But look at all the rich history from like the 50s to the 90s of like Mid-South. He's the youngest man in the state, if he beats you, to win a heavyweight championship. So that is huge. You guys... I mean, history could come out. Me personally, I like both of you guys as people. As competitors, I want to put my boot pretty far up your rear end. But as friends, as people, I like both of you. I'm excited to watch that. I don't know who I'm working the night y'all are going to be fighting, but as soon as I get the win, I'm going to be back there drinking a Lone Star watching that match. I'm excited for it. But other than X Storms, who's next in line? Who would you like to have next in line? It doesn't just have to be UWE. It can be anybody we've mentioned, anybody we've met, anybody we haven't met in the indie scene in the South.
Well, to answer GK's Gatekeeper's question, who would I like to face next? There might be a couple guys. One would be definitely Punk Sinister. He is the toughest man in the UWE. No offense to you, cowboy.
I mean,
Punk Sinister. I'd love to face him. He's a great worker, very tough. Like I said, I mean, he really knows how to get it on in the ring. I wouldn't mind facing him. Another one, probably Austin Andrews. He hasn't been with us that long, but in the time that he's been here, I mean, he's a great talent. I mean, he's been another one that's been making noise all over the indie scene. He didn't been to other promotions outside of UWE. Hasn't been with us that long, but in his time that he's been here, he has made noise. But I will say this. One person I wouldn't mind tag teaming with, there's a guy that I met at not Bayou Independent. It was Hurricane Pro in Beaumont, Texas. His ring name is something Hendricks.
I know you. I met Hendricks.
I think it might be Sean Hendricks or something. Stevie Hendricks.
Stevie Hendricks.
That's his name, Stevie Hendricks. I could definitely see us making money. I can definitely see us making money together on the tag team scene, if you know what I mean.
You know, that actually, let's make this a little share-all here. We're at the campfire. Let's share. My dream opponent for soon, okay, let's do it in two categories. Dream opponent all time and dream opponent like that you'd like to face soon in the indie scene. The one I want to fight soon that I know, a man named Tommy Bolton. You guys have probably met Tommy. He was trained by Booker T. He's active in Texas. He's called the Buzzard. Well, I'm a cowboy. You want to know what we do? We shoot buzzards when we find them. All they are is trash. So Tommy's got a very devastating headbutt. Great worker. He's jacked. He comes from a football background. He played high school football in Texas, and that's like a very competitive big league district. So you can tell he played ball. He got started when he was 17, so he's got about 9 years on me because I started when I was 26. But I would love to get in there with Tommy Bolton. We've actually talked backstage about having a match, about how the money that would draw. As far as like who would win, well, we both think the other would win, so that would make for I'm telling you, if Cowboy Cliff, who is a pure wrestler that likes to grapple, but also a striker when need be, wrestled somebody like Tommy Bolton, who is a brawler at heart, who likes to strike, but can also fly, that would be money. Yes. All time, Shawn Michaels. If I could ever just get in there with Shawn Michaels, like if I could just take a super kick and get pinned, and just to say that Shawn kicked me, I mean, that would be enough. Because Shawn Michaels is, and my coach Dapper Dan's going to hate me for saying this, but Shawn Michaels is George Washington if we had a Mount Rushmore of wrestling. Keith, what's your 2 cents on this? on the opponents, not Sean. I think Dap's in the building, or he's near.
I don't know. I've thought about it. One person here in UWE that I would like to have a match with, even though we're both polar opposites when it comes to styles in the ring and quickness and everything. He's got me on that. Got me on most things, actually. I'll go ahead and tell him that. X Storms.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to face him. It just looks like, sometimes you could put two different styles in there, and it's magic. It's like a chemistry you don't even know you have. And you get in there, and it's just, everything goes smooth.
Well, I've actually worked X one time, and it was in Arkansas for Hope Championship, now known as Hay Barn Championship. Like them on Facebook. They got some good talent there. X is a squirrely little bastard in the sense of he always lands on his feet like a cat. But, dude, there is nothing you can do in a match with X Storms that's going to look wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, you could have one of those brain fart moments where you do something that makes no damn sense and catch him on the jaw, and he's going to sell it like a Michael super kick.
Yeah.
Okay? And when I worked him that night, I actually gave him so he's whipping up on me pretty good. I've got a good amount of pounds on him, but he's whipping up on me pretty good. And he throws me in the corner, and there's these teenage high school players that are just like hating this guy. They're throwing popcorn at him, and he works that crowd, and he tells them like, I think he called him an inbred.
Oh,
I think he threw the big eye at him, and then he starts hitting me in the head. I grab him underneath the thigh, power bomb him into the corner, hit him with a big move I like to call the barn burner. 1, 2, almost 3. I ended up beating him that night, let it be known. But that's also the night I learned you can do anything with that guy in any situation and it work out. Now, as Johnson was dangerously close to my face, and I'm probably never going to go for a power bomb spot again. But he was a great opponent. Who is your fantasy opponent all time?
I'd like to guess this one. I'd like.
I already know.
I'd like to guess this one. I'm gonna take a stab in the dark and say maybe Terry Funk.
He's one of them.
Oh,
I have to say he's one of them. Of course, now I don't know. He's probably pretty damn tough, even still to this day. Of course, he's been one of my. You talk about Shawn Michaels. When I was growing up, him and Bret Hart were, as far as wrestlers go, they caught my eye.
Yeah.
And they, WrestleMania 12, when I was a kid watching that, I didn't know who to go for because I enjoyed it. It was like, as far as Bret Hart, I would probably go with, because as far as getting me into wrestling is, I was a little kid, little. So watching that, and then, here come along Stone Cold, then him and Bret it was the rivalries. I didn't know who to go for. You had Stone Cold, you got Bret Hart. Who do I go for as a huge Stone Cold fan, but who do I go for? Because Bret Hart was one of the reasons I got into watching wrestling on TV.
Yeah.
And the match at WrestleMania 13, there's no telling how many times I've watched that match.
I will never forget that image of Stone Cold and a Boston Crab covered in blood.
Yeah, just covered in blood.
And not giving up. And if now of course I drank since then, so I probably done forgot. But if I remember correctly, he lost that match via pass out.
He did not tap.
He did not tap, damn it. Okay, and I've never tapped and probably never will.
And you know what?
Because there's just something about tapping that sucks.
You know what? I'm going to go on the record since we're talking about it. My first ever match, Singapore cane match, I passed out. I didn't tap out.
Thank you for the clarification. Yeah, and it's true. I actually wasn't in Texas that night. I was actually doing a family Christmas gathering. I never get to see my family, really. It sucks. So I got to go see my sister and my cousins and all that. And it was a last-minute thing. The weather was really inclement trying to get to where y'all were, so I wasn't able to be at that show. But I saw the footage, and it was a brutal match, guys. Y'all need to find that one on YouTube.
It was not pretty. Don't look for, this is going to be a good wrestling. It wasn't a wrestling match.
It was not a wrestling match. It was a bar fight. So, like Gatekeeper on Facebook, and he definitely has means to seeing that match on there. All right, guys. Well, the fire is starting to die down a little bit, but before we go, let's go ahead and talk real quick about some indie wrestling happenings going on in the South, in the Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Arkansas area that you can see. First of all, first and foremost, we want to say United Wrestling Entertainment, UWE. Like us on Facebook. We have 3 hot shows, actually 4 hot shows coming up. We got December 10th in Seguin, Texas. We have January, I want to say 13th. Yes, January 13th in Diboll, Texas. February 11th, we're going to be over there in Mansura, Louisiana, where the Groovy King. I'm sorry, Marksville.
Right up
yeah,
the road.
they kind of all run together. Marksville, Louisiana, where the Groovy King actually has a title defense and some family ties over there, so that'll be cool for him. And then June 3rd, we're going to be in my hometown of Austin, Texas, baby. So, hopefully I can bring my horse in there. If we're in an outside arena, I'm bringing Trigger in there. It's happening. Yes, I named my horse after Willie Nelson's guitar. Sue me. So that's gonna happen. But those are okay. So we have December 10th. We have January 13th, February 11th, and June 3rd. Those are all the dates coming up in Texas and Louisiana for United Wrestling Entertainment. Like them on Facebook to know more. Hurricane Pro Wrestling in Beaumont, Texas. Big match coming up on November 19th. 30-man Royal Rumble style battle royal for their new openweight championship. Also, their champion, the big bad island war god Tamaku, is going to be in action. I've met Tama. All 3 of us have met Tama. Great guy, great worker, scary son of a bitch. Oh my God.
Really, I didn't expect him to be like he was when I first met him.
No. He comes in there all smiling nice, and then he just goes to this place and he puts this makeup on and this mask, and then all of a sudden he doesn't speak freaking English anymore. It's
He speaks real monsters.
Yeah, and he beats the shit out of everybody. So he's going to be in action. Tamaku, like him on Facebook. The other guys we mentioned, Tommy Bolton and Hendricks, like them on Facebook. Edgestone as well. Edgerin. He used to go by Edgerin, but Edgestone is his new Facebook handle. So yeah, like all these stars, guys, promote. Support these guys. You very well could see them on national television within the next couple of years. Us as well. Toot toot. Like me on Facebook. That's Cowboy Cliff Rogers, Groovy King, Eddie Love, and just simply put, the Gatekeeper. Is it Gatekeeper or the Gatekeeper?
I like Gatekeeper.
Yeah, just Gatekeeper.
I don't want to sound like Undertaker.
No the.
Get the-
Yeah, no
I
the.
am the Gatekeeper, but just keep it Gatekeeper.
Yeah. You can find him at just Gatekeeper. So November 19th, Big Hurricane Show. Bayou Independent Wrestling. We're going to have some date listings for them next episode, which is going to drop next week. We've already been informed. He's already called. He's wanted on the show. Austin Andrews is going to be our next guest. Until then, well, guys, let's go ahead and whip your Johnsons out. Let's pee on this fire, put it out, call in the dogs. That's been another episode. Keeper's already left. Okay. Eddie Love, anything you want to say before we leave?
I just want to say, as always, stay calm and keep it groovy.
That's it. All right, y'all. We'll see you when we see you. Y'all be good or be good at it. Like us all on Facebook. Cliff Rogers with the UWE here. We out. Tombstone.